Psychological shifts that make the avoidant want you more. Let me start by saying this. Dealing with someone who has an avoidant attachment style can feel like chasing shadows. One minute they seem close and the next they're pulling away like they're afraid of getting too close. But here's the truth that many don't realize avoidants aren't immune to deep connection. They just have a different wiring. The key to getting them to want you more isn't about chasing or pleading, it's about shifting the way you show up so they feel safe enough to lean in rather than run away. First, understand that avoidants fear losing their independence more than anything else. So if you come on too strong or try to control their time or feelings, you'll trigger their instinct to pull back. Instead, the psychological shift begins when you own your own space and life. When you're fully engaged with your own passions, your own goals, your own happiness, it creates a magnetic energy. It's irresistible because it says, I don't need you to complete me, I'm already whole. That freedom invites them to step closer without feeling trapped. Second, it's about consistency without pressure. Avoidants need to know you're there, but that you're not going to smother them. So if you can maintain steady communication and warmth without demanding more than they can give right now, they start to lower their guard. They see you as someone reliable, not someone chasing a disappearing prize. Third, focus on curiosity rather than judgment. When an avoidant starts opening up, even just a little, respond with genuine interest and empathy, not frustration or attempts to fix them. This lets them experience vulnerability without fear of being criticized or rejected. Over time, this helps them associate closeness with safety. Fourth, learn to tolerate ambiguity and pace. Avoidants don't move on your timeline, they need to go at their own rhythm. If you try to rush the relationship or expect immediate emotional intimacy, they'll retreat. But if you can be patient and accept the ebb and flow without losing yourself, they start to realize they don't have to run to protect themselves. Finally, know this, when an avoidant starts wanting you more, it's not about changing who they are, it's about creating an environment where their natural defenses soften. The psychological shift isn't just in them, it's in you showing up in a way that says, you can be yourself around me and I'm not going anywhere. If you master these shifts, you're not just making the avoidant want you, you're building a connection that feels safe, exciting, and real. And that, my friend, is how you turn distance into desire. When it comes to someone with an avoidant attachment style, owning your independence is not just a nice to have, it's an essential game changer. Avoidants are wired to value their autonomy above almost everything else because they've learned, often through past experiences, that closeness can feel overwhelming or even threatening. The moment they sense that their freedom might be compromised, their instinct is to pull away. This is why trying to lean on them too heavily or acting needy or dependent only pushes them further into their shell. Instead, what makes an avoidant person want you more is seeing that you are fully capable of standing on your own 2 feet. When you live a life filled with your own passions, your own goals, and a clear sense of purpose, you send a powerful message. You are not here to fill a void in them, nor are you waiting around for them to complete you. You show that your happiness and fulfillment come from within, not from their attention or approval. This kind of energy is magnetic because it reflects confidence and self-respect, and it naturally sparks curiosity in the avoidant. Who is this person who doesn't depend on me, yet wants me around? Owning your independence also means respecting your own boundaries. It means having a life outside the relationship, friends, hobbies, work, or creative pursuits that doesn't revolve solely around them. This kind of life signals that you're not clinging or desperate for their time or affection, which ironically gives them the space to want to be closer. When they see that you have a fulfilling, vibrant world that they are invited into, instead of being the entire center of your universe, they feel less pressure and more freedom. That freedom reduces their need to run and makes them more likely to stick around. Furthermore, being independent doesn't mean being distant or emotionally unavailable. It means being emotionally strong and secure in yourself so that you don't rely on them to regulate your emotions. When you can manage your feelings on your own, it takes the weight off the avoidant, who often struggles with emotional closeness. They can engage with you more openly because they don't feel like they're carrying the entire emotional load. You're showing them through your actions that you are whole, complete, and confident enough to be in a relationship without losing yourself. That's a major psychological shift that can make an avoidant want you more than ever before. Consistency without pressure is a delicate balance that can transform how an avoidant person experiences a relationship. Avoidants often have a deep-seated fear of being overwhelmed or engulfed by someone else's needs and emotions. Because of this, they tend to withdraw when they feel pressured or when expectations feel too heavy. They don't want to feel trapped or suffocated, which means that any behavior that seems demanding or clingy immediately triggers their defensive mechanism to pull away. Understanding this dynamic is crucial if you want to build trust and make an avoidant want you more. When you approach communication and interaction with an avoidant from a place of steady, gentle consistency, it sends a very different message. Instead of overwhelming them with urgency or intensity, you show up reliably and calmly. This doesn't mean being cold or distant, it means being present in a way that feels safe and predictable. Avoidants crave safety more than they crave emotional intensity, so when they see you want to be someone who won't suddenly disappear, freak out, or demand immediate answers, it gives them the space to slowly come closer. Being consistent can look like regular check-ins without bombarding them with questions or emotional demands. It means keeping your tone calm and neutral when you communicate, avoiding any pressure for quick responses or immediate emotional sharing. For example, sending a simple message like, "Hey, just thinking of you," without expecting a lengthy reply can create a sense of presence without pressure. When avoidants know you're steady and non-intrusive, they begin to associate you with calmness and safety, rather than stress or chaos. Another important aspect of consistency without pressure is honoring your own boundaries while respecting theirs. This means you don't suddenly change how often you communicate based on their responses or lack thereof. If you start chasing or withdrawing in response to their push-pull behavior, it reinforces their fear that closeness is unpredictable and unsafe. Instead, sticking to your own rhythm of steady, caring communication shows emotional maturity and creates a foundation of trust. They learn that being close to you won't come with unexpected demands or emotional roller coasters. Avoidants often struggle to express their needs or fears clearly, so your consistency also gives them a container to express themselves at their own pace. They might not open up right away, but the calm presence you provide can encourage them to gradually test the waters of vulnerability. The key is not to rush this process or respond to every sign of withdrawal with panic or frustration. When you can hold steady, they'll start to see that intimacy doesn't have to mean losing control. Importantly, consistency without pressure also means managing your own expectations. Avoidants aren't usually quick to say, "I love you," or jump into deep emotional sharing. They need time, and that's okay. Accepting this with patience rather than trying to speed things up removes the pressure from the relationship and makes it more inviting for them. When avoidants feel there's no ticking clock or emotional ultimatum, they can relax and let themselves be more present. Ultimately, being consistently caring but without pressure shifts the dynamic from one of chasing and retreating to one where the avoidant feels safe enough to approach. It's about creating an emotional environment that's calm, reliable, and non-demanding, so they don't feel the need to run. This steady approach often changes the game because it teaches them that closeness can be gentle, respectful, and free, not something to fear or escape from. When someone with an avoidant attachment style starts to open up, it's a fragile and important moment. They're taking a risk by showing vulnerability because their natural instinct is to protect themselves from getting hurt or feeling trapped. Responding to this vulnerability with curiosity rather than judgment is one of the most powerful ways to deepen connection and encourage them to want you more. Curiosity means genuinely wanting to understand their inner world without jumping to conclusions or trying to fix them. It creates a space where they can feel safe enough to be themselves without fear of criticism or rejection. Avoidants often expect that if they share too much, they'll be judged or pushed to change, so they hold back their true feelings. When you respond with empathy and interest, you send the message that their thoughts and emotions matter and are respected exactly as they are. This kind of response doesn't just help them feel accepted, it also invites them to explore their feelings more openly because they don't have to hide behind a wall of defensiveness. Instead of saying things like, "Why do you keep shutting me out?" or "You need to be more open," you might say, "I'm curious about what you're feeling right now," or "Tell me more about what's going on for you." This shifts the conversation from blame or pressure to genuine exploration. It encourages avoidants to reflect on their experience in a non-threatening way, which can gradually soften their defenses. Responding with curiosity also means listening actively and showing that you're fully present. Avoidants may have learned that sharing emotions leads to misunderstanding or rejection, so when you listen without interrupting or offering quick solutions, you help rewrite that narrative. The way you listen becomes a model for how they might communicate in the relationship, creating a healthier dynamic over time. Another important aspect is validating their feelings, even if they seem confusing or contradictory. Avoidants can struggle to understand their own emotions, and hearing someone else acknowledge their experience without judgment helps them feel more grounded. Validation doesn't mean agreeing with everything they say, but it means recognizing their feelings as real and worthy of attention. By responding with curiosity and empathy, you foster an emotional environment where vulnerability is welcomed rather than feared. This psychological shift is crucial for an avoidant person to move from distance to desire because it breaks down the barriers they've built to protect themselves. Over time, it builds trust and a sense of safety that makes them want to be closer, not farther away. Accepting an avoidant person's pace is one of the most important and yet most challenging aspects of building a relationship with them. Avoidants tend to move through emotional intimacy and commitment on their own timeline, which often feels slow or unpredictable to their partners. This pacing isn't about disinterest or playing games. It's a fundamental way they protect themselves from feeling overwhelmed or losing control. When you learn to tolerate this ambiguity and allow the relationship to unfold naturally, you create a space where the avoidant feels less pressure and more freedom to come closer. Avoidants fear being rushed because fast-moving emotional demands threaten their sense of autonomy. If you push for quick answers about where the relationship is going or try to accelerate emotional sharing, it triggers their instinct to withdraw. This is why many avoidants respond better when you simply accept that things will move slowly and that emotional intimacy cannot be forced. Patience becomes your greatest tool. It shows that you're not trying to control or change the pace, but rather that you respect their process. Tolerating ambiguity means being comfortable with uncertainty and not needing everything to be defined or labeled immediately. This can be tough because human beings naturally seek clarity, especially in relationships. But with avoidance, insisting on clarity too early can feel like a trap. Instead, when you allow the relationship to develop without pressure for specific commitments or emotional milestones, you give the avoidant the chance to explore their feelings in a way that feels safe to them. This doesn't mean you ignore your own needs or stay in situations that feel unhealthy. Rather, it means balancing your desire for progress with respect for their internal rhythm. When you're able to hold that balance, you reduce the tension that often comes with mismatched pacing. Avoidance can sense when you're desperate for clarity or frustrated by the slow pace, and those feelings create stress that pushes them away. But when you respond with calm acceptance, it changes the dynamic entirely. Being patient and accepting also means trusting the process, even when it feels confusing or slow. Avoidants often need time to build trust and feel secure enough to share more of themselves. That trust grows in small increments and through consistent, low-pressure interactions over weeks or months. When you resist the urge to speed things up, you allow the natural rhythm of connection to emerge. Another important part of accepting their pace is understanding that avoidants might have moments of closeness followed by distance. This ebb and flow can feel frustrating, but it's part of how they regulate their emotions. Instead of seeing these cycles as rejection or failure, viewing them as their way of managing vulnerability helps you stay grounded and patient. Each step forward, no matter how small, is progress. Ultimately, tolerating ambiguity and pace teaches you to be present in the moment, without needing to control what comes next. This attitude creates an environment where avoidants feel safer and more willing to take emotional risks, making them want you more over time. Creating a safe environment for someone with an avoidant attachment style is essential for fostering genuine connection. Avoidants often have built-in defenses to protect themselves from perceived threats to their autonomy or emotional well-being. These defenses might look like pulling away, shutting down, or keeping others at arm's length. When you create a space where they feel they can be themselves without judgment or pressure, you're helping them lower those defenses and gradually open up. Safety in this context means more than just physical presence or polite behavior. It means emotional safety, the feeling that they won't be criticized, controlled, or overwhelmed when they share their thoughts and feelings. Avoidants often expect that. If they show vulnerability, it will lead to conflict, rejection, or demands for more closeness than they can handle. When you respond with patience and acceptance, it challenges these expectations and helps rewrite their internal narrative. Showing that you're not going anywhere, even when they pull back, is a crucial part of creating safety. Avoidants fear abandonment, but also fear engulfment, so they're often caught in a paradox of wanting connection, but pushing it away when it feels too intense. When you can demonstrate steady commitment without clinging or controlling behavior, it reassures them that closeness won't cost them their independence. This balance of presence and respect creates a foundation where trust can grow. Another key to building this safe environment is respecting their boundaries consistently. If an avoidant sets limits around how much they want to share or how quickly they want to move, honoring those limits without frustration or pressure helps them feel seen and respected. It tells them that their needs matter and that the relationship is a place where they can be in control of their own pace. It's also important to communicate openly about your own feelings and needs without demanding immediate reciprocation. Sharing vulnerably but without expectation encourages avoidants to mirror that openness in their own time. This approach shows that emotional honesty doesn't have to be threatening or overwhelming. It can be a mutual exchange built on trust. Creating a safe environment means you're actively working to be a calm, steady presence rather than the source of emotional volatility. When avoidants experience this kind of emotional stability, they're more likely to let down their walls and engage more deeply. Over time, this fosters a connection where desire grows naturally, because they feel free to be exactly who they are without fear of losing themselves. To wrap this all up, the journey of connecting with someone who has an avoidant attachment style isn't about forcing closeness or chasing after them. It's about creating the right conditions for them to feel safe, respected, and genuinely curious about what a relationship with you can be. When you own your independence, stay consistent without pressure, respond with empathy and curiosity, accept their pace, and create an environment where they can truly be themselves, you're not only making them want you more, you're building something real and lasting. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I hope these insights give you clarity and confidence in navigating your relationships. Remember, meaningful connection comes from patience and presence, and you absolutely deserve to be with someone who values you fully. Take care, and here's to love that's both freeing and deeply fulfilling. Goodbye for now.